श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। वागीशाद्यासु मनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे नत्वा कृतकृत्यासु भूतं नमामि गजाननं। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोः भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण द्वैतवासना प्रमुच्यते बोधात्मकाय नमस्तस्मै भगवते श्रीरमणमहर्षये। हृदाकाशे सदा भान्तं शान्तम् आनन्दरूपिणं ज्ञानभाणमहं वन्दे सद्गुरुं श्रीसत्यसायिनं मन्त्रयामिनं। दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिस्फटिकमणिमयीमक्षमालां ददानास्तेनैकेन पद्मं सितमपि च शुकं पुस्तकं चापरेण भासा कुन्देन्दुशङ्खस्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेयं निवसतु वदने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः। शृण्वन् रामकथानादं को नयाति परां गतिं यः पिबन् सततं रामचरितामृतसागरमतप्तस्तं मुनिं वन्दे प्राचेतसमकल्मषम्। गोष्पदीकृतवारीशम् अशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहामालारत्नं वन्दे अनिलात्मजम् अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकीशोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्। उल्लङ्घ्य सिन्धोः सलिलं सलीलं यशोकवन्यं जनकात्मजाय आदाय तेनैव ददाहलङ्कां नमामि तं प्राञ्जलिराञ्जनेयम् आञ्जनेयमतिपाटलाननं। काञ्चनाद्रिकमणीयविग्रहं पारिजातधर्मूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकं। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। वाल्मीकिगिरिसम्भूता रामसागरगामिनी पुनातिभुवनं पुण्या रामायण महानदी। वेदवेद्ये प्रेमं सिजाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेतसा दासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना। तदुपगतसमाससन्धियोगं सममधुरोपनार्थवाक्यबद्धं रघुवरचरितमुनिप्रणीतं दशशिरसश्च वदं निशामयद्वम् आनिषादप्रतिष्ठां त्वमगमशाश्वती समाः यत्करं च मिथुनादेकम् अवधीः काममोहितम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताय पतये नमः। वैदेही सहितं सुरदुर्मतले हैमे महामण्डपे मध्ये पुष्पकमासने मणिमये वीरासने सुस्थितम् अग्रे वाचयति प्रपञ्चनसुते तत्त्वमुनिभ्यः परं व्याख्यान्तं भरतादिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलं। वामे भूमिसुता पुरश्च हनुमान् पश्चात् सुमित्रा सुतः शत्रुघ्नो भरतश्च पार्श्वदलयो वायुवादुकोणेषु च सुग्रीवश्च विभीषणश्च विवरा तारासुतो जाम्बवान् मध्ये नीलसरोजकोमलरुचिं रामं भजे श्यामलं। गुरुवर्ते त्यक्तराज्यो व्यचरदन्वनं पद्मपद्भ्यां प्रियायाः पाणिस्पर्शाक्षमाभ्यां रचितपदरजो यो हरीन्द्रानुजाभ्यां वैरूप्याः शूर्पणख्या प्रियवृहरुषारोपितभुरुविजृम्भत्रस्ताब्धि बद्धसेतु कलदवदघनः कौसलेन्द्रो वदान्नः। जानकीकान्तस्मरणम् आञ्जनेय स्वामी की जय। For the last few days we saw Rama's deep, profound Vedantic instructions to Lakshmana, which deal with the fundamental truth that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not this external entity, we are the Atma, we are the self. And because all the other things are temporary and transitory, yatna, effort, dedicated effort is really not required for acquiring any of those things which will come to us anyway as a result of the effort we have already put in the past, or the actions that we have already done in the past in the form of our destiny, our karma. And effort really needs to be put in only to get rid of this eternal cycle of karma. Because we cannot live without doing action, and every action that we do will automatically have a consequence. So it is inescapable. Every action will have a consequence. You cannot remain without doing action. But it is inescapable. It is not possible to escape the experience of the results of one's action. Breaking through from this inevitable cycle is what requires effort. Effortlessly we will get into this cycle. See, you've got to understand this clearly. Without making any effort, if you do not do any effort, you will keep going around the same cycle. To get out of the cycle, you need to make an effort. Because you've already fallen into the cycle, you will always keep going around and round and round until you make an effort to get out of it. Whereas, all the things that you are currently making efforts for are already part of this circle, this cycle. They will keep coming. You cannot avoid it. You cannot escape it, in fact. Do you understand? As long as there is battery in the clock, the hands will keep moving from 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You do not need to make any special efforts to get to 6. You do not need to make any special efforts to get to 12 or 8 or 9. Automatically it will go around, isn't it? Like that, the cycle. In the cycle, automatically that which should come to you will come to you, whether you put in any effort for it or not. Again and again, we have spoken about it in great detail, but it bears repeating, so I will repeat it. Effort here means sankalpa sahita effort. That means action that is accompanied by sankalpa. Sankalpana or desire, or ichha, or will, or wanting something. So whenever you do any action because you want something, then and there you have become a fool. Because even if you did not desire it, it will come to you if it is meant to come to you. Do you understand this? It is not going to come to you just because you desire it. It is going to come to you because you have deserved it. You have already deserved it. Good or bad, right or wrong, positive or negative, you have already deserved it by the action you have already done. Therefore, that result is going to come to you. You cannot avoid it. So, action that is oriented or prompted by desire, in fact, thought for the day today from Swami. In the Sai Inspires la vandhathu, when work is undertaken with an egoistic attitude impelled by selfish motives and inspired by hopes of self-advancement, it feeds greed, pride, envy and hatred. Then it fastens the bond and fosters the feeling of attachment to more and more profitable work. It promotes ingratitude to those who lent their hands and brains, and to God Himself who endowed the person with urge and skill. I did it, one says, when the work succeeds, or others spoiled my success when it fails. Resentment, depression and despair follow when work results in failure. The more deeply one is attached to the fruits, the more intense and painful is one's grief when one is disappointed. The only means, therefore, to escape from both pride and pain is to leave the result to the will of God, while one is happy in the thought that one has done one's duty with all dedication and care that one is capable of. This is thought for the day. At the beginning of the day, the important when work is undertaken with an egoistic attitude, impelled by selfish motives and inspired by hopes of self-advancement. For me, I need to get better, I need to go forward, I need to achieve, I need to have all my desires fulfilled, I need to be happy. But we are planning and making. See, if you do not deserve to be happy, just by desiring to be happy, you will not be happy. See, criminals are there, no? There are criminals who have been imprisoned. Now, they may desire freedom, but they do not deserve freedom, they deserve imprisonment. So just because they desire freedom, do you think they'll get freedom? Swami would say, deserve first, then you can desire if you want. Because if you do not deserve, just by desiring you are not going to get anything. நம்ம நிறைய தடவை தமிழில் சொல்லியிருக்கோம், ஆசை இருக்கு, தாசில் பண்ண அதிர்ஷ்டம் இருக்கு கழுதமேக்க அப்படின்னு. ஆசை என்னமோ தாசில்தார் ஆகணும்னு ஆசை. The desire is there to become the district superintendent, district collector. ஆனா the fate, fortune, deservedness is there only to graze donkeys. என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? Should we not be deserving? Deserving என்ன அர்த்தம் அப்படின்னா ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியாது. See, you have already done it. You cannot change a thing. You cannot change anything. Now that is why a lot of people come up with questions like, why do bad things happen to good people? I have been good, why bad things happen to me? இப்பதானே நீ குட்டா இருந்திருக்க. You are good only now. You are good only now. A man started eating healthy foods one day. Before that he was eating all kinds of nonsense. எல்லாம் அந்த அமெரிக்காவில் வருமே அந்த மாதிரி டபுள் வாப்பர் பர்கர் என்னமோ சொல்லுவாளே, ஒரு பீஃபை போட்டு அதுக்கு மேலே 100 பீஃபை போட்டு அதுக்கு மேலே 100 பீஃபை போட்டு எல்லாத்தையும் கண்டது தின்னுருக்கிறான். He is eating all kinds of nonsense. Then suddenly 1 week he ate salads. 1 week he ate salad, then he got heart attack. I am eating salad. Why did I get heart attack? அப்படின்னா everything is filled with cholesterol. இடமே இல்லை, blood போகிறதுக்கு இடம் இல்லை. There is no room for blood to go. Now what you have already done you have to reap. You cannot escape that. இன்னைக்கு 2 நாளைக்கு salad சாப்பிட்டு 2 days he ate salad and saying why am I getting now? What about all the things that you have already done, sir? இல்லையா? Like that, karma that we have already done in the past is what we are experiencing or enjoying now. There is no doubt about it. We are all clear about this, no? Really, are you clear about it? Then why are you still an idiot? You are all nodding your heads as they are very clear about it, but in your behavior and your acharana, your actions, you are the complete opposite. அப்புறம் கேட்டா ஆயிரம் எல்லாம் புரிஞ்சுடுத்துங்கிறல. நிச்சயமா இருக்கே. And if you know something, if you understand something, surely you should put it into practice, no? So for instance, if you know fire is hot, அப்படின்னா will you go put your hand into the fire saying, I know fire is hot, அப்படின்னு போடுவியா என்ன? Hislop used to say, don't dip your hand into the stream of karma. Be careful, do not dip your hand into the stream of karma. Stream of karma, always karma should be karma yoga with never karma. When is it karma? When it is prompted by kama, it is karma. When it is prompted by tyaga, it is karma yoga. When it is prompted by bhoga or kama, desire for enjoyment, then it is karma action. If you dip your hands into the stream of karma, you will get caught up into it. It will pull you into it. Vinekadal veerthidum. It will simply cast you into the ocean of all rivers lead to ocean. The river of karma leads to the ocean of samsara. Vinekadal veerthidum. Veedu tharalilai. It will not give you moksha, it will put you into the samsara. We say we know it, Anna. Tell me honestly, as Swami says here, you say you understand it, but here is what he says: when work is undertaken with a selfish, egoistic attitude, with selfish motives, with inspired by hopes of self-advancement. Now you see, everybody nodded saying yes, I understand. But how many of your actions done today? Inniki panna actions, just today's actions. How many of your actions done today were motivated by, inspired, undertaken with an egoistic attitude, impelled by selfish motives, and done exclusively with hopes of your self-advancement? Tell me. Then you say, no, I understand. Correct. I understand. Understand? What is the use of understanding if we cannot practice? Bhagavan, in the Gita, he did not beat around the bush much. He says clearly to Arjuna, fight because you have to fight. Not because you want to fight, not because you don't want to fight, not because you will get a kingdom at the end of it, not because... We are not bothered about all of that. It is your bloody duty to fight. Really bloody duty than vechukkongo, because the duty is going to result in a lot of bloodshed. It is your duty to fight. There is nothing more to it. All the reasoning that Arjuna gives, Bhagavan laughs at it and saying Bhakwas. Arjuna's first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. And he says, why should we not fight? This will happen, that will happen, Varna Sankrama will happen, admixture of caste will happen, destruction of clans will happen. He gives a list. Bhagavan says, exactly, that's why you should fight. That's what I want, fight. So when we undertake action for our own self-advancement, எனக்கு ஏதோ நல்லது வரணும், some good should happen to me, some good should come to me. அப்படிங்கிற action, the action that we take which is orientated towards some good coming to me from a worldly point of view. From a worldly point of view தான் சொல்றேன். Some good should come to me from a spiritual point of view. அப்படின்னு சொல்றதை we will come back to it in a while. Because good means two types of goods. Worldly good, worldly happiness, worldly prosperity should come to me. I should become healthy, wealthy, wise. Wise in a worldly sense, worldly wise, world wise. I should become successful. Everybody should praise me, everybody should appreciate me. அப்படிங்கிற those kind of worldly, so-called worldly desires இருக்கு இல்லையா, you take all of those things and when you are working towards the advancement of those worldly desires, that is definitely going to create the bondage, that is definitely going to catch hold of us and drop us into the ocean of samsara, no doubts about it. Now then there are those other efforts that we take. I want some spiritual benefit, I want to attain moksha, I want to become liberated, I want to attain God அப்படின்னு இருக்கு இல்லையா. அப்படி பார்க்க போனா we can see here ஒரு quotation has been posted here. Have a quick look at this. If you must be mad, be it not for the things of the world, be mad with the love of God. Sri Ramakrishna அப்படின்னு ஒன்று. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's quotation, ஒரு thing that you always used to say, if at all you must be mad for God, not for the things of this world. Now this is the second thing. In Upanishad speaks about it or Ramakrishna himself used to say about it, he used to call it Vidya Maya, Avidya Maya anu solvar. Avidya Maya, Vidya Maya. Both are Maya only, but in Maya there is two categories of Maya, Avidya Maya and Vidya Maya. Ignorance Maya, knowledge Maya. What is Avidya Maya? I should be healthy, wealthy, happy, prosperous, a lot of money, people should be all favorable to me, everybody should praise me, it is Avidya Maya. I have accomplished that, as Avidya Maya. What is Vidya Maya? I should become liberated, as Vidya Maya. I should attain God, I should become liberated, as Vidya Maya. In other words, there is madness for the world and madness for God. Madness for the world, Avidya Maya. Madness for God, Vidya Maya. Maya அப்படினா? Why Maya? Because you are already liberated, therefore wanting to get liberated is still Maya only. Since you are already liberated, since you are already the Atma, since you are already the Brahman, wanting to become liberated is still Maya because it is illusion, it is false. But of the two, Vidya Maya is the lesser evil, it is the one that will lead us out of Maya completely. Desiring one's spiritual advancement ultimately will lead us towards it, but in the end, if you do not give up that desire, you cannot progress. It is final cut off. Up three stages. First stage, we are enveloped in the worldly desire, we have to get rid of that worldly desire and move on to spiritual desire. Then finally we have got to let go of the spiritual desire also and remain as we are in absolute total contentment. That state is the Brahmasthiti, ultimate state of liberation. So with the help of the desire to attain God, we have got to get rid of the desire for all things of this world. Adu vanda varudhu, let it come, no problem. If it is in my karma to enjoy, it will come. If it is not in my karma, it will go away. Or kada chalva, there was a disciple of Samartha Ramdas. Samartha Ramdas அப்படினு ஒரு ராமதாஸ் இருந்தார். மகாராஷ்டிரால இருந்தார் அவர். He was in Maharashtra. He was even Shivaji's guru. Shivaji na Chhatrapati Shivaji, Shivaji Ganeshan alla. There was a king called Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. He was a great king. He was blessed by the divine. Ambal herself, Bhavani herself gives him a sword. அப்படிலாம் அவனுக்கு very spiritual, religious oriented king. He fought against the Mughals. He fought against Aurangzeb during that period of time. He became a great revivalist of Dharma. அதனால the sadhus, Mahatmas and all fostered him. They gave him their blessings. Samartha Ramdas, this great Mahagnani, was there, great Guru, Yogi, Purusha he was. He also gave his blessings to Shivaji. Shivaji Maharaja was his disciple, his devotee. But I am talking about another person who was a very wealthy person. very wealthy he was. Samartha Ramdas used to be like our Ramana Bhagavan, who used to wear only a loin cloth. Samartha Ramdas used to wear only a loin cloth, and around him there were also some disciples, core disciples னு சொல்லுவா இல்லையா. எப்பவுமே ஒரு குரு வந்துட்டா அப்படின்னா, if you go to a guru doesn't care about all of these things, but the people have created hierarchies around the guruக்கு சுத்தி core disciples, அது inner core, அப்புறம் கொஞ்சம் outer core, அதுக்கப்புறம் எக்ஸ்டெண்டட் அப்படிதான் சொல்லுவா. ஏன்னா நமக்கு we like divisions, we like dividing, we like making somebody special, somebody less special. அது நம்மளுடைய மென்டாலிட்டினால core disciples னு சொல்லுவோம். So Samartha Ramdas were there, and around Samartha Ramdas were these core disciples who travel with him wherever he goes. Itinerant sannyasis, they will go wherever, he will also go along with him. They were all also like their guru, all Komanandis, Kaupinavantaha. They will only wear a kaupina, only a loin cloth, live their simple lives, go beg for food. And the simple lives they were leading. And in their travels, once they came to to the outskirts of the village where this one disciple of Samartha Ramdas lived, this very rich man he was living. They all stayed outside in the forests outside, because they would not unnecessarily go into the city and so on, town and village, etc. So they were staying outside. But the news reached this man that his guru has come. To receive his guru, he dressed himself up well, wearing lovely silks and gold ornaments and everything, got on to his palanquin. 4 people lifted the palanquin, trays of gifts and so on and on. He came with all of that, got down, prostrated in front of his guru and sat down there. He presented all the offerings and sat down there. And Guru gave a lot of importance to him. As soon as he came, Samartha Ramdas inquired after him and kept talking to him, ignored all the rest of the loincloth people. Talk only to this man. How are you? Everything is going on well. How is your family? How is your grandchild? How is your grandchild's toy? How is the cow in your house? How is the mosquito that sits on the cow in your house? He is going to all details about this man. The so-called inner core that is constantly surrounding him, they don't even get that much attention. Even if they have any spiritual doubts, he will say, shh, இந்த பையனுக்கு அவன் ஆத்துல இருக்கிற அரப்பாம்பூச்சி மணக்கிட்டு அவர் விசாரிக்கிறாரே, குசலம் விசாரிக்கிறாரே. They could not bear it. What is this? This fellow comes with all this luxury. We have given up everything for the sake of our guru. In spite of it, this fellow gets so much attention. அப்படின்னா அவளுக்குள்ள ஒரு disgruntlement always happens. இது ஒரு எப்படி ஒருமே தெரியாது. And we can never understand how you can be disgruntled with a guru. Because whatever he does is bloody right. You have no question. If you don't like it, you go away. It's like this. If you have accepted a person as your guru, whatever he does is right. If you do not agree with him, you are free to leave. He is not holding you, no. But sitting there finding fault with the guru is digging your own grave. That is all. உன்னை யார் இருக்க சொல்றா? You have not come to correct the guru, no. Bhagavan சொல்லும், Ramana Bhagavan would say, they will all come first. First they will come very sincere sadhakas they will come. And they will stay in the ashram. For 2 days they will meditate. And 3rd day they will look around. And they will note down all the faults and all the foibles. 4th day they will come up with an action plan how to solve all of it. 5th day they will come and tell us what to do. So all of these people have a surprising human attitude. We will find fault. How can he do this? Why is he doing this? Does he also care only for wealth and prosperity? That is why he is giving importance to that big shot and ignoring all of us. Guru understood that these kind of thoughts are going on in the minds of these people. Therefore, he told this man, why don't you stay with us? Become part of our group. Then all these becomes a big test. The fellow is addicted to so much luxury and good life. If we are going to wander around like this, will he give up now? What in the next instant, he took off all his clothes, clad himself only in his loin cloth and sat down in front of the Guru. As you say, Guru Deva, if you want me to do, I'm ready. Don't you have to send word to your family and so on? Why? What is the need? What is the need to send word to them? One day when Yama comes, will you have time to send word to them? When Yama comes, nobody likes him. Nobody likes Yama. Nobody likes to meet him. Nobody wants to talk to him. Everybody avoids him. When Yama comes also, we do not care about family, we run away by Yama. When Guru is asking me, why should I unnecessarily talk to family? Where is Yama? Where is Guru? There is no need. These people, my servants, can go and convey the message. Go and convey the message. We have decided to stay with our Guru. Our Guru has commanded that we have to stay with him. Adanal we are staying. You can go back and convey the news to family. We are not coming back. And seeing this instantaneous detachment, dispassion, all the other disciples are surprised. What is going on? How calm and how cleanly he cut off everything, and he is sitting with the Guru. Idane a real disciple. Appa they all understood. Oh, this is why our Guru gave so much importance to him. Instantly he can detach himself. Now when the time came, they were all sitting there, he was talking, they were all meditating, they were giving a discourse, etc. All the spiritual activities, whatever is going on, they were minding their own business, he was minding his own business, Guru, so on and so forth. It was time for Bhiksha. Time to go and get Bhiksha. They have the habit of going and begging in a few houses and getting the food. All the gifts that this man had brought, Guru sent all that back with the servants. So nothing was there. So they had to, as usual, go for Bhiksha. So they all got up. This man also, this erstwhile rich man also got up. Samartha Ramdas said, you do not know even how to beg. You sit down. Today you sit down. Tomorrow you come with us and learn how to beg. Today we will go and whatever food we will bring, we will share it with you. So you don't have to come today. You sit here. He sat down. So he alone was sitting there. These people have gone to beg. In the meantime, Chhatrapati Shivaji, the king, Shivaji Maharaja was travelling that way. And as he was travelling that way, he saw this man sitting here with only a loin cloth in meditation under the tree. And because Shivaji has come and gone many times to see Samartha Ramdas, he knows that this is a very important disciple that is very close and dear to the Guru's heart. And when he saw he was such a rich man, wealthy man, I know him, I have met him previously. What has happened? Why is he sitting like this? He could not bear it. Immediately he called his servants. He said, bring and put a canopy here. Immediately they put a beautiful canopy. They brought silken clothes and covered this man with all the silken clothes. He took his own garland and put it on top of this man's neck, around this man's neck. Gave him gold and gave him jewels and gave him all kinds of precious things. Gave him a beautiful seat to sit out and said, I am so glad that I saw you. You are a Guru Bhai. You are a Guru Bhai ne chalwa, brother disciple. You are a brother disciple of our master. Adanal, I am so glad to see you. Whatever little I can do to you, I have done to you. I will take leave. He went away. He did not even know that Ramdas was here. He went away. So back, how was this man sitting now? After discarding everything, when he was sitting there with his loin cloth, once again now he is clad in silk clothes. Once again he is wearing all kinds of royal rich attire. Once a big canopy on top of his head. He is sitting happily. Again, all Guru with all the disciples, after begging their food, they come back. All the loincloth people come back. This fellow sitting there in all luxury. And what happened? What happened? Guru of course knew, but he asked, what happened? And then he said, what can I do? This humble servant was just sitting here. Suddenly, our Guru Bhai, Shivaji Maharaja happened to come here. On seeing me, he did all this and went away. Before I could do anything, protest anything, he did everything and went away. What can I do? Apo, Samartha Ramdas told his disciples, and that is how life is. If it is in your prarabdha, you cannot avoid it, you cannot escape it. Somehow from somewhere it will come, catch hold of you and it will sit on top of your head. You cannot avoid it, you only have to accept it. If it is not in your life, you will be like the other disciples. If it is not in your life, you will be like this. If it is in your life, you will be like that. What to do? That has got nothing to do with bhakti. That has got nothing to do with jnana. That has got nothing to do with vairagya also. Ramana Bhagavan, in the ashram, because the ashram was there, everybody kept bringing food, good food, rich food. The Guru is a problem. The disciples may not come every day. Yeah? They only come once in a while. So they bring good food and say, once in a while only you please eat. Okay, it is once in a while for you today. Yesterday it was once in a while for somebody else. Tomorrow it will be once in a while only for somebody else. In the end for the Guru it is every day. It is no once in a while business for him. A big punishment it is. Bhagavan also was eating like this, and so one day he thought it was an Ekadashi day. He thought, porom, Chami, இன்னைக்கு சாப்பிட்டது போறோம், no eating food today, let us escape. அப்படி சொல்லிட்டு பகவான் என்ன பண்ணார், மார்னிங் when he went for his walk, even before breakfast he escaped. He said, whole day today we will run away somewhere onto the hill and we will not come back until it is end of the day. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு he went up the hill. Morning itself he went up the hill without anybody noticing. He went away. எல்லாரும் பார்த்தா பகவான் எங்க பகவான் காணுமே, பகவான் not there. சரி, அப்போ Bhagavan, as he was going up, suddenly he saw 7 ladies, village ladies, who were going up the mountain to cut wood or something. They were looking like, and they came with big baskets they were having. The wicker basket in India, the women would carry those baskets. They were bringing all those baskets, and they saw Bhagavan somewhere there. They said, Swami, sit down. They all sat down. They spread the leaf, the vada, idli, or whatever, all breakfast items. They big items, amounts of breakfast. So eat, you eat. And no matter how much he protested, there was nothing doing. These 7 women surrounded him and made meat. Shared in again, chopped. He ate it. After finishing eating, he said, I have to escape. He climbed up 7 springs in Sapta Sunai. 7 Sunai. And he went up the hill to that place. Madhyana Vela, it is about midday. He reached there. He was an expert in climbing. He knew all these various pathways he could climb. So he climbed up. He went there. He was quietly sitting. Nobody is there. He was sitting quietly digesting all the breakfast, heavy breakfast. Around lunchtime, suddenly he hears voices. No voices. When he opens it, same 7 ladies have come there also. Same 7 ladies have come. Time for lunch. They served lunch for him now. So, wanting to escape food for that day, he ate breakfast, heavier than usual. Heavy lunch, heavier than usual. He climbed down from the hill. Evening time, he thought, I better get back to ashram. As he was coming down, he got down from the hill and was walking towards the ashram in the Girivala Padai, around the Girivalam path. At that time, Manvasi Tata Chalwa, a devotee of Bhagavan, Manvasi Ramsami Iyer, he had come, he had made rasam with mangoes, whole mangoes ulla potu rasam. Very unique type of rasam, different tomato rasam we make. Tomato rasam. Rasam, there are many varieties of rasams. This rasam is, they take small mangoes, little mangoes in the size. And the mangoes are potu rasam pannuva. And the sweetness of so all the sourness, spice, etc. They get into the mango sweetness gets into the rasam. Like this, a beautiful blend. So he had made that rasam, and along with rice and the rasam, he brought it to serve Bhagavan. When he found out Bhagavan was not there in the ashram, he asked where he is. Somebody said, I think Bhagavan must have gone Girivalam around the hill. So what did this man do? He said, okay, the way to catch Bhagavan is if I go Apradakshanam, the opposite way. He went opposite way, found Bhagavan, made Bhagavan sit down and served him this food. Kartala chopped, Madhyana chopped, Changalamavadu, Seri, at least evening we will not eat anything. The food came to him in the evening also. And Bhagavan would explain, Mahabharama, Onunum Pushnika size. Each mango was the size of a pumpkin. He made me eat 2, 3, he made me eat. Bhagavan says, I slapped myself on my cheeks and said, never again, I will not do whatever it is, I will stay here itself and eat. Because if it is in your prarabdha, it will hunt you down. Whether it is food, whether it is bhoga, pleasures of life, whether it is work, whether it is money, life if it is in your life, it will hunt you down no matter where you go. On the contrary, if it is not for you, no matter how much you run behind it, it will not come into your grasp. And the reason for this is all the karma that you have already done in the past. That day's food has already been destined for you. You have got to eat it. You cannot escape it. ஏன்னா தானே தானே में लिखा है खाने वाले का नाम அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவா. In every grain, the name of the person who is supposed to eat it has already been written. அதனால you have to eat it. You do not have an option. And if today your name is not written on any grain அப்படின்னா அன்னைக்கு grain கிடையாது, உனக்கு ரைஸ் கிடையாது அன்னைக்கு. You cannot have it. For this prarabdha, why make an effort? For that which is going to inevitably come to you because you have already made the effort for it, why bother? It will going to come, இல்லையா? The train has left the previous station. It is going to take it about 15 minutes to come to the station. Now whether you jump up and down or walk pace from this end of the platform to that end of the platform, the train will come when it is to come. Isn't it? Your effort cannot make the train come any sooner. Nor can it prevent the train from coming. Like that, in life, what is meant for us will come. Inevitably, it will come to us. There is no need for us to make any efforts for it. What then should we do the effort for? Abdina, that cycle is never ending. It keeps going. Again and again and again and again it keeps going. If you want to put an end to it, you have to make an effort. For all the actions of the world, there is no need for sankalpa to arise for it. I have to do this because I want that. I have to do this is different. I have to do this because it is meant for me to do. Okay, I have to do this because abdina tappu. If at all there can be, I have to do this because abdina, for initially while you are still in the spiritual path, maybe some allowances can be made, some concessions can be given. You can say, I want to attain Chitta Shuddhi, therefore I will do this. I want to attain bhakti, therefore I will do this. I want to have cultivate vairagya, therefore I will do this. Now the okay can be accepted. You may do actions that are with the sankalpa. You can put in the effort with the desire to achieve something spiritually, bhakti, jnana, vairagya. For that you can. It is not going to come without the desire for it. Yamaivesha vrunute tena labhyaha nu Upanishad சொல்றோம். You have got to choose it. You have got to desire it. If you do not desire escape from samsara, you cannot get it. So first you have to desire it, then you have got to put in the effort for it, and you will certainly be liberated. அப்படிங்கிறது பద్ధதி. So this truth is what is explained in great detail to Lakshmana by Sri Rama, and he says, இதெல்லாம் நடக்கிறதுப்பா, it is all part of the prarabdha karma that we are enjoying. We have to go to the forest. Let us go to the forest. Let us go to the forest. அவ்வளவுதானே? Let us go. When does it become enjoyment அப்படின்னா? Enjoying karma அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்னா? When you say it has to happen, let it go ahead அப்படின்னா you are enjoying it. Otherwise you are suffering karma. You can either enjoy your prarabdha karma or you can suffer your prarabdha karma. That choice is up to us. We are free to choose what we want. அதனால all of this is told by Rama to Lakshmana. Lakshmana understands it. He keeps quiet. Kausalya Mata also is told all of this. She also understands. She says, Rama, you are clear you want to go. There is no doubt about it. I cannot change your mind. Your resolve is very clear. Yedite gamane buddhihi krita piturapekshaya. In order to fulfill the words of the father, if you have made up your mind, resolve that you are going to go, that is fine. But at the same time, let me tell you something, I cannot live here without you. I cannot live here without you. Kaikeyi is doing all of this because she does not want to become lesser than me. She wants Bharata to become the king so that she can always have the upper hand. Then I will be tormented by her if I am left here. Therefore, like the cow following the calf, I shall come with you. I will come with you. She, with tears in her eyes, she tells Rama, Apo, Jnanopadesha was given to his brother Lakshmana or Dharmopadesha is given to his mother Kausalya by Rama. Amma kinga madala Dharmopadesham pandra. Bhavatya mama chaivadya raja prabhavati prabhuhu na hyanata vayam rajna lokanathena dhimata. जीवंत्या ही स्त्रिया भर्ता दैवतम प्रभुरेवच. Rama tells dharma vakyams, words of dharma to his mother Kausalya, and he says, Amma, as long as a woman is living, jivantya hi striya, for a woman, as long as she is alive, bharta daivatam prabhurevacha. Bharta, the husband, is her God. He is the Lord, he is the God. Adana, that is your dharma. When I go away, my father Dasharatha Maharaja will be grief stricken. Apo, you must be present there to help him, serve him, to bring him out of that grief, to give support to him. But Bhartu Susrushaya Nari Labate Swargamuttamam. व्रतोपवास निरताया नारी परमोत्तमा भर्तारं नानुवर्तेत सा तु पापगतिर्भवेत्. Rama tells Kausalya, Vrata upavasa nirataya nari paramottama. There may be a very noble woman, very highly pious woman, engaged always in vrata, upavasa, etc., in vows and fasting and so on. Anal, however, Bhartaram nanuvarteta, but she does not obey the husband, she does not follow the husband, she disregards the husband. Abdina, Satu Papagatir Bhavete, she will only attain sin. She will only fall into sin, she will not get into higher lokas, because even though she is observing all these vratas and upavasas, etc., but if she does not follow the husband, if she does not respect the husband, if she disregards him, Abdina, she cannot attain any good. Bhartu Susrushaya Nari Labate Swargamuttamam. It is only through serving the husband diligently that a woman can attain the highest state, Swargam. Apiya Nirnamaskara Nirvritta Deva Pujanat. Even if she does not worship any god, even if she abstains from worshipping the god and not paying any homage to the gods, as long as she is serving the husband, she will attain the highest. शुश्रूषामेव कुर्वती भर्तुः प्रियहिते रता येष धर्म पुरा दृष्टो लोके वेदे श्रुतस्मृतः. शुश्रूषामेव कुर्वती, always she is serving the husband, प्रियहिते रता, and she is always interested in his well-being. அப்படிங்கிற wife, येष धर्म पुरा दृष्टो लोके वेदे श्रुतस्मृतः. Vedas, Smritis, etc., all of them declare that this is dharma for the woman. This is dharma for the woman. அப்படிங்கிறது வேதமும் சொல்றது, Shruti and Smriti, both of them are declaring that this alone is the way for a woman to attain the higher state, is by serving the husband, treating him, he is the God for her, adhala pannanum. Therefore, look forward to my return. But until I come back, niyata niyatahara bhartu susrushena susrushane rata evam kalam pratikshasva mamagamanagankhini. Looking forward to my return. In this manner you spend your time. Enadunna niyata abdina, with the mind under control, niyatahara, with food under control, with the intake of food under control, bhartru susrushane rata, and devoted to serving the husband. Idu pannendu nee iruma porumma, you will attain the highest state. In Ramayana, where it speaks about dharma a lot, the dharma of the wife is given a lot of importance because Sita demonstrated that dharma, Pativratya dharma. She meets Anasuya, Atri's wife, who also demonstrates and explains, exhorts the same dharma to her. Even in Ashoka Vatika, she lives only by the power of this dharma, and as a result, today Sita, abdingra namame, the name Sita itself is sacred and sanctified for us. Apo, in today's modern day and world, in today's modern age, so-called modern age, how relevant is this? How valid is this injunction? Serve the husband. Why should I serve the husband? Question. Because women are also equally educated. Women are also equally capable of earning, perhaps sometimes even better in their earning potential and capacity than even the husband. They are in no way less. I remember a woman telling me once that why should a woman need a husband at all to survive in today's day and age? Can she not live on her own? In those days, women were not educated. Women were not given opportunities. She had to depend upon her husband. If the husband is not there, there is no food for her, there is no security for her, there is no safety for her. Husband was necessary. Plus, in our olden day tradition, if the husband is not there, women is not given any respect at all. They will not include her in anything. They would ostracize her. All these kinds of things were there. But in today's day and age, all of that is not at all applicable. Women are independent. Women are capable. Women are competent. Women can survive on their own. Not only can they survive on their own, they can even bring up their family on their own if they need to be. Single mothers abound. Apo, this particular injunction of Ramayana, is it valid in 2021 or not? Abdina, we've got to understand that there is a spiritual component. There is a spiritual component to this truth, which again many times I've explained this. Serving the husband is not done so that you can get food. Serving the husband, etc., is not done so that you can get looked after and treated well. It is done so that your ego can be destroyed. If you cannot accept it, Abdina, your ego can never be destroyed. Simple. You've got to find out the root cause for it. It is not to keep the family in harmony. That is prarabdha. It is not to keep the family going, otherwise, the wife doesn't put up with the husband, they will always keep fighting. If they always keep fighting, there is disharmony in the family, children are going to be affected, family is split. That is all superficial. We don't have to learn that from Ramayana, we can learn it from family counselor. Couples counseling, family therapy, they may also say all of those kind of things. We don't need all of that from Ramayana. So in Ramayana, Sakshat Bhagavan himself has to speak about it. If the Lord himself has to speak about Abdina, there has to be deeper underlying meaning to it, a spiritual component to it. If the spiritual component is ignored, then it is useless. What is the spiritual component involved, Abdina? Humility. Ahankaram. Why should I put up with my husband? Abdina, why not? What makes you say, why should I put up with my husband? Simple question. If you say, why should I put up with him? Abdina, why? What makes you say you should not? What inside you says you should not? Ahankara dane. Think about it. Anybody for that matter. I'm not only talking about husband and wife. Anybody for that matter. Somebody who is in. I'm speaking about dharma again. I'm not speaking about worldly level. I'm not talking about from a worldly point of view. I'm speaking about from a dharmic point of view. Fully from only a dharma point of view. Nothing else. Shastra I'm only speaking with respect to the Shastra, not any other way. That is why I only take few examples for this. I say Guru, husband, parents. For the children, parents. For the wife, husband. For the husband, Guru. I keep always speaking about it. You would have heard me say this particular order, pecking order, if you will. You can call it a pecking order, if you will. Guru and the husband is eternally, or the man is devoted to the Guru. Why can the woman not be devoted to the Guru? Woman also can be devoted to the Guru. It is not that women does not have the right to have a Guru. But the tradition easily was that the husband could have a Guru because he will learn Vedam. If it's a young boy who has to go learn Vedam or something, he has to have a Guru. Somebody, some authority. Some authority, we are not asking about a despotic authority. We are talking about an authority, a person in a power position of authority who wants to do good to you, who wishes your welfare. A person of authority, if we cannot submit ourselves to that person, it shows I am interested in something else. Again and again, this is something I repeat and reiterate, you cannot take spirituality out of your worldly, so-called worldly life once you enter into the spiritual path. There are no distinction at all. The two are very closely intertwined. Bhagavad Sankalpam is something that percolates and pervades through every aspect of your life. It's not that this aspect, Bhagavad Sankalpam, is not there in your life. God's will is not there, or spirituality is not there in this situation. You cannot take it out of it. You cannot remove it. The problem with most of spiritual sadhakas is they read spirituality like theory and keep it in a separate space. And then keep worldly life in a separate space and never let the two mix. And as a result of it, what happens is your spiritual, so-called spiritual life is a very, very minute component of your entire day. Say you're doing some reading. How long will you do Parayanam? How long will you keep doing reading of some spiritual text? You're doing meditation. How long do you do meditation? How long can you do meditation? Whatever it is, the majority of your life is so-called non-spiritual. Ilya? A day, if you take a single day, the majority of time in a single day is spent not in tapasya, not in meditation, not in japa, not in dhyana, in other things. So if you are going to then say spirituality is only delegated to this small portion, then always, even if you do 4-6 hours of spirituality in a day, 18 hours you are not spiritual, that means. Because you have separated it into two components. This is exclusively spirituality, this is exclusively something else. It is not possible like that. You will never make any advancement or any progress if that is the categorization that we have, spiritual and worldly. There is no worldly once you become spiritual. And there is no spiritual as long as you are worldly. Spiritual, there is no worldly component to life at all. There is no such thing called worldly. Every component of it has got spirituality getting into it. So then, spirituality, we speak about titiksha, putting up with everything. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam sa titiksha nigadyate. Or definition is given for titiksha. What is titiksha? Forbearance. What is forbearance? Sahanam sarva dukkhanam, putting up with all sorrow. Apratikara purvakam, without even making efforts to get rid of it. But chinta vilaparahitam, but while putting up with that sorrow, not brooding over it, not complaining, and living your life because this is my prarabdha, let it go on. Titiksha ne peradik. This is called titiksha. Now Acharya Shankara speaks about 6 sampat or 6 treasured qualities that a sadhaka must have before he becomes eligible to attaining jnana. Before jnana, oru chatushtayam irukku. Sadhana chatushtayam or a group of 4 is there. What is this group of 4? Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhishatka Sampatti and Mumukshutva. Viveka, intelligence, discrimination. Vairagya, detachment. Mumukshutvam, the fourth, Mumukshutvam, intense desire for liberation. The Nadula one Shamadhishatka Sampatti. 6 treasures starting with Shama. Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana. 6 treasures are spoken about. So, according to Shankara, you've got to cultivate these 4 items: Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, 6 treasures, and Mumukshutvam. So, within this third itself, there are 6 qualities. One of those qualities is Titiksha. Titiksha, forbearance, fortitude, putting up. Why should I put up? If you want moksha, you have to put up. If you want to become eligible for jnana, you have got to put up. Why put up now? Don't then say I am spiritual also. Because we lose the right to say I am spiritual when I am not ready to put up with the life that is coming to me. You don't have to put up with this worldly life. In fact, you have to get rid of this worldly life. You have to get rid of the samsara sagara. Nobody is asking you to put up with it. That is why you have got to put up with the vicissitudes of life, the ups and downs of life, so that you can get rid of it once and for all. It is because we are not able to put up with all the ups and downs of life that we keep coming back again and again to it. So if you think you have escaped this birth, next birth it is waiting for you. Sometimes, some people go to these, Nadi Joshyam. Nadi Joshyam, Nadi reading cholluvalya. So they go to the Nadi reading. Many people have told me, I went to do Nadi reading. I got my Nadi scripts read. Or some more of the Western oriented people who say, I had a past life regression session done. And inevitably, what they all come and say? They will say that I was told that this person was my wife for the last 7 births. Or the last birth also this person was my husband. So what does it mean? You cannot escape this person. You cannot escape the Janma Janmantare. They'll come back, they'll come and haunt you. They'll come again and again. Same things come back again and again. Until we have finished our karma with them, they will come back again to haunt us. As it is in this Janma itself, you are suffering with them. Now, do you want to suffer with the same person next Janma also? What kind of an idiot you must be? See, look at this, look at the beauty of it. This Janma, this life, already so much time is spent with that person. Only a little bit more. You put up with that person, you can get rid of that person for once and forever. If now you don't want to, now you have to cut back again and start once again. Little bit if you hang on, you can get rid of that person. You don't have to meet that person again. Some people say, I can't stand the sight of this man. The wife becomes so annoyed with the husband that I cannot live with him for another day more. I cannot stand his sight. Then sit his sight. What to do if you cannot stand? Sit down. Who's asking you to stand? Legs will pain. Sit down, Vishal. Remember, maybe you will escape him now, but he will come back again. And that applies to husbands also. If you say, I cannot put up with this woman, she'll come back again. You cannot avoid it. The only way you can avoid it is to get jnana, attain moksha. But to get moksha, you get jnana, you have to put up. So whichever way you look at it, you've got to put up. Whether you want to get rid of this person and their karmic connection once and for all, or whether you want to attain jnana, whatever may be the case, putting up is necessary. And this is not exclusively only for husband and wife, it's applicable for everybody. It is applicable for everybody. It is not discriminated unfairly towards women alone. For men also, put up with everything in the life. Shastra. That is tapasya. Putting up is tapasya. Without any complaints, when we put up with whatever life brings us, it is tapasya. To get rid of it, is not, it is in a way, like postponing karma. Not that you can get rid of it just because you want to get rid of it. That's a vishayam. Just because you want to get rid of it, you cannot. It will come back and keep biting you, keep haunting you. You cannot get rid of it just by wishing it. But what you do when you get into that wishing, that I wish I get rid of this and so on and so forth, we create a greater, deeper karmic connection, which never will end. Which will not end. Yeah? With for instance, with hatred, karma deepens, never ends. With dvesha, with dislike, karma deepens, it does not end. Only selfless love can end karma with a person. If you have a karmic connection with another person, the way to get rid of it, only 2 ways you can get rid of that connection. One, you find out who you are, and the moment you find out that you are not this body, mind, etc., then all karma which is only related to the body, mind does not touch you, it all finishes. Jnana. If you stay in the state of jnana, attain that state, then there is no connection with anything in this world. Everything is false. There is no connection, there is no karma, there is nothing. But until you reach that stage, if there is a karmic connection, the only way to dissolve that karmic connection is through selfless love. No expectation, no desire with that person, not doing something so that you can get back something from them. If you expect something, it will come back again. Then karmic connection gets established again. So, if you cannot put up with your husband or wife, then the best remedy is put up with them so that you don't have to put up with them in the future. When I say future, next birth, if at all there is a next birth. Best would be no birth at all. Evam kalam pratikshasva. If put up with it. Kalam pratikshasva. Bhagavan says, wait for the right time. That's why niyatahara. Bhartu susrushane ratha. Until then, eat moderate food. The only real spiritual injunction that can be given to anybody, Ramana Bhagavan would give only one do's and don'ts. Bhagavan would never give any do's and don'ts. He generally was very quiet. Whatever people wanted to do, he would let them do. But if somebody asked for any spiritual, what should I do? Bhagavan would say, moderate amounts of sattvic food. Moderate amounts of sattvic food. Generally, sattvic food is slightly boring. Not very interesting. So, I want to eat something interesting. But generally, mostly it is not sattvic. Unless you find kirai, gentle foods, unless you find it interesting. Generally, we don't find it interesting. We find something else only interesting, always. If it is interesting, generally it is not sattvic. Sattvic is vaitika aharam. What is sattvic? Vaitika aharam, some food for the stomach, food to nourish the body, food to keep the body going so that I can devote myself to making spiritual effort, so to say, focus upon the truth, attain the truth. And the I need the body. And the kind of food is sattvic food. Moderate amounts of sattvic food. Not just the food that we eat, but all the food that we gather through the senses. Eyes, nose, ears, whatever it is that we are taking in through the senses. Information that we are taking in through the senses is also food. Ahriyate iti, aharaha. Because of that is also food. Moderate amounts of all of that also. Sattvic amounts only. Sattvic food, if we keep taking, that is a very, very important mandatory requirement for successful spirituality. It will also help us put up. It all feeds into this. When you eat sattvic food, what will it give you? Kshamata kudukum. Sattvic food gives you kshamata. It will help you bear. It helps you bear that boredom. No? With that, you will be able to bear everything else also. Every day you eat sattvic food and bored. I'm feeling so bored. My tongue is dying. I wish something else nice, interesting things could be there. I wish we would go and buy something from outside. We can eat outside. If you can put up with that, then you will get a lot of strength to put up with other things of life also. If you can put up with the temptation of the tongue, you can put up with a lot of things in life. A joke. Although we are talking about some Ramayanam, but we have come slightly from the story, but this is very valid. If you can conquer the tongue, tongue has got two functions. One is to taste, other is to talk. One is to taste, other is to talk. If you can conquer both, conquer taste and conquer talk. Talking a lot. More than that, talking about somebody. நமக்கு என்னத்துக்கு இல்லையா அடுத்தது சங்கத்திலாம் நமக்கு ஏண்டின்னு சொல்லுவா இல்லையா அந்த மாதிரி நமக்கு என்னத்துக்கு வாட் இஸ் அவர் ப்ராப்ளம் வித் நெய்பர்ஸ் திஸ் பர்சன் தட் பர்சன் நமக்கு என்னத்துக்கு வாட் இஸ் இட் ஃபார் வாட் தே டிட் நமக்கு துவேஷம் தான் வரும். When you talk about others, you will only get dvesha in your heart. You will get comparisons will come, feelings of inferiority and superiority will come, feelings of envy and jealousy will come, feelings of dislike and hatred will come, judgment will come. So never talk about anybody. Ada controlling the tongue in artham. Ada controlling the tongue. Anyasya gunadoshana chintanam ashamuktva. Stop thinking about or talking about the good or the bad of other people. Good and bad. No need to talk about anybody's good. They are not good out of choice. They are good out of force. Nobody is good out of choice. They are good because their prarabdha made them do good things today. If their prarabdha made them do something else, they will do that. They are not free. They are not free to choose to be good. Today they are good, tomorrow they may end up being bad. We do not know. No need to talk about their good. No, definitely no need to talk about their bad. Most of the day we can spend in Maunam, you have accomplished something great. Most of the day if you do not talk, you have accomplished something great. Silence, second thing to conquer, taste. So conquer both of these, the talk and taste. You have won a great battle. Niyatahara bhartu susrushane ratha. Serve panna. Bhartu susrushana, serving the husband. Anna bharta அப்படிங்கிற வார்த்தைக்கு என்ன அர்த்தம்? Bharta means not just husband. Bharta, the word bharta really means one who bears an artham. The English word bearing, burden, all of that comes from the Sanskrit root. And the bharta, bharanam அப்படிங்கிற வார்த்தையிலிருந்து வருது இல்லையா? One who bears your burden is bharta. So for a woman, husband is supposed to bear the burden. Avana husband, not one who burdens her, but the one who bears her burden. Bharta na, one who bears the burden. He helps her, he shares her joys and sorrows. Adella pandravan bharta. Not one who sits on the top of her head and adds weight to her. There was one husband who could not walk. He was crippled. She had to carry that husband on a basket on the top of her head, and he would go and visit all kinds of disreputable places. She would have to carry him there. There was a woman like that, it seems, one day. And what happened one day, as she was carrying this husband and going in a basket, there was a rishi. There was a rishi. This Mandaviyana rishi. And the rishi, he had committed he was wrongfully charged with a crime that he did not commit. And he was impaled on a stake by the king as punishment for it. And as this woman was carrying the basket and going, she happened to, within the dark, in the early morning hours, she was not able to see. She brushed against this pole, and the pole vibrated and created more pain for the rishi. And he said, who has done this? You're sorry, without knowing I was carrying my husband in the basket and going. He said, you woman, you did this to me. May your husband die before the sun rises. When sun rises, your husband will die. As soon as the sun rises, your husband will die, and he gave a shapa. Because for the sake of your husband, you gave me this trouble. This woman, she said, it seems, if that is the case, then with my chastity on stake, I am saying, may the sun not rise tomorrow. Sun did not rise the next day. Sun did not rise, it seems. Sun refused to rise. Anasuya had to come and say, with my Shakti, I nullify the curse and let the sun rise. Each one competing with the other in their Pativrityam. She was really carrying the Bharta on her head. Bharta, one who bears your burden, but he himself became a burden. She carried the burden, or he is Bharta. Bharta na, one who bears our burden. Bhagavan bears our burden. Ellarkum Bharta yaar. For all of us, who is the Bharta? Bhagavan is the Bharta. Yarukume. For everybody, God is the Bharta. God is the husband. God is the Pati. God is the Lord. God is the Master. God is everything. Adanala Bhartu Susrushane Ratha, always being devoted to serving the Lord, serving Bhagavan. Another meaning will arise from that also. Not everybody may have a husband. But Kaushalya ke, Rama says, okay, you serve the husband. Husband 14 years, Rama says, you serve the husband, Amma, and wait for me to come in. 14 hours, the husband died. Dasharatha dies. Apre another husband seva. Abba Bharta yaar Bhagavan da Bharta. Bhagavan da Bharta. Yarukume. So when the husband is there, how do you treat him? You treat him as another embodiment of the same Lord. ஏன்னா எல்லாம் அருணாச்சல ஸ்வரூபம், எவ்ரிதிங் இஸ் அருணாச்சலா, எவ்ரிபடி இஸ் காட். அப்படின்னா ஹஸ்பண்ட் இஸ் ஆல்சோ காட் தானே. மோஸ்ட் விமன் திங்க் எவ்ரிபடி இஸ் காட் எக்ஸப்ட் மை ஹஸ்பண்ட். I don't know where he came from. Everybody else is divine. My husband alone. அப்படின்னு சொல்லு. எனக்குன்னு வந்து வாச்சுது இது. மிச்சவாள் எல்லாரும் டிவைனா இருக்காளே அப்படின்னு. இல்ல, everybody is divine. Your husband is also divine only. Because God alone exists, your husband also, unfortunately, maybe it is unfortunate, maybe it is not such a good thing, but what to do? Unfortunately, he also, poor fellow, your husband does not have a choice but to be God. Because God alone is everything. Adunala, this fellow has no choice. Poor fellow, what to do? So have pity on him, treat him as God and serve him. But at the same time, as Swami tells, I think Hislop in Conversations, treat the wife as God. Treat the wife as God, because she is also God. Everybody is embodiment of God. No, wife is also embodiment of God. But then he also says, adukka thalile irukku vechikada, but don't put her on your head. But don't put her on your head. See, that injunction is given only to men, not to women. That injunction is given to men, not to women. To the woman, you are told treat the husband as God. But to the man, you are told look after your wife, but that doesn't mean you have got to give in to all her whims and fancies. அப்படிங்கிறது மாத்திரம் மென்னுக்கு ஒரு ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ஷன் கொடுத்துருக்கா. The reason for that is because men are inherently weak. Men are inherently weak. The power that a woman has over a man is evident in the world, and a man will immediately succumb to that power. That is why Nari has got Shakti. Leya, in Sanskrit, in Hindi, Tamil, ella language lime, the word we use for power is Shakti. அவங்ககிட்ட சக்தி இருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். சக்தி இருக்குன்னா எனர்ஜி இருக்கு, பவர் இருக்கு. He has power. The word that is used for power is Shakti. Shakti is a feminine word. It is synonymous with the woman. Shakti is synonymous with the woman. Nobody says man is Shakta. He is strong. Ashaktan தான் சொல்லுவோம். Even Shiva without Shakti is Ashakta. அப்படின்னு Acharya says in Saundarya Lahari. Men can be weak. Generally, women are strong. Because women are strong, they can become headstrong. So in order for them to not become headstrong, they are reminded, be careful. Don't let your strength become arrogance. Whereas for the man, a completely different injunction is given, become strong. For the man, the injunction is given, be strong. Don't give in to temptation, don't succumb to that, be strong and stand by dharma. அப்படிங்கிற injunction is given to the man to be strong. To the women, don't become headstrong. You're already strong. இதுக்கு மேல if you become strong, you'll become headstrong. See how it is? Man is told to be strong. A lot of people misinterpret it. Ramakrishna would always say Kamini Kanchana, women and gold, women and wealth அப்படின்னா. The main reason for that is because the man is weak, therefore he has to be made strong. There is no need to tell the woman because she is already strong. Without understanding these deeper meanings of our Shastras, people may end up saying the Indian Manu Dharma and all is all discriminatory towards women. They always put down women. No, never. The word Shakti itself, Vidya சொல்றோமா, learning, knowledge, என்ன word? The word we use is Vidya. Vidya is feminine gender. Shakti, feminine gender. Buddhi, எல்லாம் feminine gender தான் சொல்றோம் நம்ம. இல்லையா? All good things are all given feminine gender தான். In Sanskrit, language itself is oriented towards deeper meanings. That is why Sanskrit is Deva Bhasha anu சொல்றோம். Sanskrit language especially, it is not just based on chuma linguistic illa. In Sanskrit, everything has a gender. Everything has a gender. Either a masculine gender, feminine gender or a neutral gender. Or everything has genders. A tree also has a gender. Namakla English la tree does not have a gender. Maram, tree does not have a gender. Ittu dhaan solluvom. Sanskrit la he solluvom. Vrikshaha, he. Everything has a gender and there is a reason for it. Shakti அப்படினா gender இருக்கு. Vidya அப்படினா gender இருக்கு. And the gender is all feminine gender for all of those kind of words. Because there is a reason for it. They are all qualities of a woman. Kshama அப்படிங்கிற word, forbearance, அதுக்கு வந்து it is a feminine gender. Forbearance எல்லாமே வந்து given, the gender that is given is for feminine because it is synonymous with the woman. So we are not discriminating against anybody. You have to understand it in the correct way. Titiksha, putting up, that is something that is applicable to all people, universally applicable to everybody. It is not just for the woman, it is for the man also. Everybody has to put up. Everybody has to put up. It is not just women has to put up with the man. All have to put up with it. Because only in Titiksha do we become strong. We can ignore, otherwise, see, if you are not able to put up, if you are not able to put up, it also means that you are giving so much importance to it. If you say, I cannot put up with this, but you are giving a lot of importance to it that it matters so much to you. So when you are giving so much importance to something that you should not be giving importance to, then how can you let go of all of this and focus on the truth? On the other hand, when we put up, we are gaining the strength to ignoring this. Let it be. I will ignore it. You are instead freeing yourself to focus upon what you should be focusing upon. We will stop here for today. Janaki Kanta Smaranam, Jai Jai Rama Rama Anjaneya Swami Ki Jai. Sarve Bhantu Sakinaha, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kachit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Loka samstha sukhino bhavantu, loka samstha sukhino bhavantu, loka samstha sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Sai Ishwara Arpanamastu.